Hi, I'm Nicole Reeves Lavallee, and I'm going to talk to you today about some of the common myths that I hear every single day. The first one is, I want full custody of my kids. Well, that's great, but what does that mean? There's two different types of custody in Massachusetts. There's legal custody and there's physical custody. Everybody says they want to fight over it, but they don't actually know what that means. So legal custody is pertaining to education, religion, medical, major decisions in the children's lives. Physical custody is where does the child live? It can be joint or it could be with one parent, but it depends on the circumstances of your particular case. So come see me and we'll discuss each one of those with you. Another common myth is, I bought it, it's mine, right? No, not necessarily. In Massachusetts, one of the issues with that is the day you get married, it's the day it becomes the other person's as well. So it's something to be aware of. Unless you have a prenuptial agreement, there is no rights that says that this is going to be just your asset. It could be that you get that house that you acquired prior to the marriage and some of that equity is yours, but also some of the equity might not be yours. So it's something that we need to look at and figure out exactly what is yours and how much of it is yours, because 100% of it most likely is not yours unless you have that prenuptial agreement. One of the other common myths is, he's not paying child support, so I don't have to let him see the kid. No. Let's be clear. That's not how it happens. You don't pay to see your child, and you don't pay not to see your child. The two things are separate and distinct. You don't want to confuse them, because ultimately if you do confuse them, then you might lose custody of your child. And I know that's not what you want, but unfortunately the law does not say that it is one and the same. There are two separate and distinct issues. They need to be treated differently. We can go into court and we can address the issues of non-payment of child support, but withholding the child, whether it be for 2 weeks of non-payment of child support or 2 years, is not the right way to handle it. So come see me on that. Another common myth. My friend got X in the divorce. And X could be alimony, it could be the house, it could be 50% or 90% of the estate. It doesn't matter what X is. But everyone says, well, I want what she got. I want that X. And guess what? That's not the case. Every case in Massachusetts is different. Your facts are going to be different than your friends. Your situation is going to be different. Your respective incomes in that family will be different than yours. So you have to look at the totality of everything that is happening in their life, and it's going to be different than yours. So while we can do the best to get you whatever that X is, guess what? We need to come up with a game plan on that. So we need to figure out how to best serve you. Another common myth is, we've been legally separated for years. Why do we even need to go through this? I own what I own because I haven't seen her in 5 years. Really, in Massachusetts, you're not legally divorced until you file the divorce paperwork, unless you file for a separate support action. And most people don't do that. So we don't have anything that would allow you to just go ahead and say, well, we're legally separated because we chose to be. Unless you have that court piece of paper, you're not legally separated until you file for divorce. And in that separation, whatever you've acquired in those 5 years or 10 years that you've been separated is still considered marital property. So it's something that we need to look at in terms of dividing marital assets of your estate. Another common myth is a great one. If I don't get the court order that I want, I'm just going to pick up the kids and leave. Well, that would be parental kidnapping, so that would be a really bad idea. You do have rights when you have a court order that you don't like. And the rights may be to file an appeal. It may be to file for a reconsideration. It may be that you need to do certain things before you can do this stuff. But if you just pick up and move without getting court permission, you will be in trouble. And ultimately, the other party will retain custody of your child. And you may get limited or no visitation of your children at that point if you go that route. So come see me before you do any of that. Common myth, he cheated, I should get everything. Not necessarily so. Massachusetts doesn't care whether or not he cheated. It's irrelevant. You will have tons of police officers that will tell you, we're not going to prosecute. I've had police chiefs tell me that. Yes, it's still a crime, it's still on the books, but nobody cares, nor does the court care. They only care if that person that cheated is dissipating marital assets. Are they going out and buying that other woman or other man minks and jewelry and going out on long vacations and extended things like that? Then we care. Otherwise, we don't care. I understand that it's very difficult for you, and you're thinking, how could she say that? Unfortunately, the law doesn't allow for it. So it's one of those things that we do have to keep it in check. We do have to understand that there's a difference in how we handle that. We can address it, and we can work with it in other ways, but you're not going to get everything simply because they cheated. Another common myth is that a divorce takes forever and it costs way too much. Well, first off, it takes forever. I don't know what you consider forever. The reality is you've probably been married a lot longer than it will take you to get divorced. The shortest time for a divorce in Massachusetts is 4 months. The average time is probably about 2 years. The court assigns a tracking order of 14 months. So from beginning to end, the court should be resolved in 14 months. But realistically, what I like to say is plan on about 2 years, depending on what's going on in your particular case. But once you see me, I can give you a better gauge as to where I think you're going to fall in that timeline. In terms of whether or not it's cost effective, it is. Because again, when you look at this plan may very well take 2 years, it's not that much money. It might be a bunch of money up front, but guess what? We can work out some kind of plan with that. And more importantly, when you look at 2 years of the work that I did, it will be well worth it. It's better than you going into court and fumbling around and the judge yelling at you going, "Ma'am, sir, we're going to treat you like an attorney. You need to know what these papers mean." And if you don't know what they mean, guess what? There's going to be ramifications. I understand the paperwork. I can help you. I am Nicole Reeves Lavallee. I would love for you to pick up the phone. We can talk about the specifics of your case. We can talk about exactly what you need to do in your case so that you can get the results you want. Please pick up the phone and call me.